The live part has gone out. We'll wait as it propagates around the world. Little New Dad gaming lights pinging on across the world. It's time.
Nap time's over.
Dad's turning off their favorite sports program to run to the radio and gather around like in old-timey days.
They dropped the axe from cutting down wood and stop working on the car.
Yeah, they're not changing carburetors anymore. Wrench clatters to the ground as they bolt to the door. Mid-stride, the wife throws a beer. He catches it as he slides in just to the radio to listen to us live.
Favorite duo. Ready to start.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And it is new Dad Gaming this week. Friend of the show, Tyrone Germain, so at Life of Germain _ reached out to this week with a baby announcement. And he's got the greatest new Dad Gaming photo I've seen in a damn long time. What are we looking at, Jeff? This is awesome.
Yeah, to describe the photo for our audio listeners, we have Tyrone here with his newborn, just laying on his chest with his Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild. Everybody's happy in this photo. And I was just talking with Trevor before the show, before we aired, and just getting these kind of announcements is so heartwarming to see. Like, it really does really affect me on how people reach out with these kind of announcements, because it's a big thing. Your life totally changes. So it's glad to see this stuff happen, and glad that people reach out and share that part of their lives with us.
And what a moment for Tyrone to share too, like this particular one. So like the baby is right nuzzled on the chest.
Yeah.
Like that I'm not kidding you. Those are some of my favorite moments with my sons. And I think at the time I was on a big Hearthstone kick. So usually it was like Hearthstone on
I remember
phone.
those days, yes.
Yeah. Hearthstone on the phone, and my son just like nuzzled right in there.
Yeah.
And you look back on obviously like our youngest here is now 4. But so to think back about those times that we both had with like the kids, it's like, oh, it's fantastic. But to see a new dad be able to do this is, damn, man, it's so exciting. Tyrone, I don't think we cannot thank you enough for sharing this, and congratulations on the amazing news.
Yes, absolutely. Congrats, your little hot pocket there.
Yeah. Just snuggled in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Life is good. So welcome to the world, Sterling, born on May 10th. Looks adorable, and that scene is utterly heartwarming. You've warmed some old calloused dad hearts over this way. So
Give me dad win. Give me dad win.
The best kind. So he had an amazing experience with a newborn. This came to us while I was in Mexico. So I've freshly returned. Jeff commented on my lack of tan. I will say I'm very Canadian in that I have 2 skin colors, and it's either like super white or super red, just like the flag.
Yeah.
Because like I burn like a mother, or I am just pasty white. There's no in betweens. So I went with white because I had a terrible fear, because this is a buddy's wedding of mine, and I was in the not bridal party. What do you call it when you're groomsman?
Oh, you're groomsman. Yeah.
So and then we have white shirts. So I was just so terrified of having like the reddest, most beat red, like glowing reindeer nonsense face to go with the white shirt and ruin the photos.
With the shade lines, right? Like you need the sunglass burn in, like the raccoon kind of eyes. Like,
so I treated it like I was deathly allergic to the sun. Like I stayed as far away from possible, and like managed to stay free and clear. It all worked out great. But the vacation was fantastic. Everything worked great. The not bringing the Switch was the right move.
Okay.
It would have been great on the flights. Flights suck for kids. That's not fair. I would have loved to have it. But to have it there would mean that any time if they went back to the room, it would be there. Can we
Switch
play?
time. Yep.
But they didn't complain about it once, honestly. They were full of activities. They were having fun, beach, pool, everything. So that paid dividends for sure.
That's good to hear, because you were quite worried. Like our last episode, it's like, I'm not sure what's going to go down. It's either going to be a good vacation or it's going to be stressed out again. So
What I can confirm, though, is it seems that I am the worst dad in the world. Just, I'm terrible. I'm an awful person.
Because of the Switch?
I'm sure that factored into it. No, this is coming from other adults. So
Oh, even better.
there were two particular instances where I had made decisions that I thought were fine,
Okay.
that others didn't think so. So I didn't get much grief. Everything went fairly well. But I'll tell you the two stories quick. So the first was, as we came up to every night. So again, I have a 4 and a 6-year-old. That 6 turns into 7 in a week. So I have a 7-year-old, basically,
7-year-old,
right?
Basically, yeah.
We know our kids. We've been with the kids for a while. They've traveled with us a lot. They're good at that. And we made the distinction. It's like, you know what? Like, we were here to celebrate a friend's wedding, and like there's a lot of great people that we knew that came all the way to Cancun. When they go out at night, we're gonna settle them down and say, listen, if you wake up and we're not here, like we're just around the hotel, so just don't worry. Like, take a breath and go back to sleep. Okay? Full confident. Kids loved it. That was great. And that's what we did. So we'd put them to sleep. We'd kind of sit in the room for a little while to make sure they're settled. But then we'd punt out. So we'd go to hang out with friends and like see people, kind of enjoy it. And not so we weren't like ripping around Cancun.
I was about to say, you're on the golf cart, way off into the forest.
Yeah, we're not jumping on jet skis in the middle of the night, like ripping like in a drunk bender on the sea. We're just about the hotel, which is a family-friendly hotel. Right. I'll remind you too. So it's even theoretically, if they came out of the room,
there's people there to deal. Yeah.
Because in the question I posed you before the show, and I'll have you answer it live, so I can indict you, it would be, is if your parents took you to a family resort, would they leave 7-year-old Jeff alone in the room?
There would be no question. They would leave as soon as...
Right?
I wouldn't even be... They wouldn't even... You said you would sit there and just wait until your kids kind of settled in, maybe even drift off to sleep. My parents would be out the door as soon as my PJs were on. They'd be like, all right, see you kids, bye.
Get to sleep. I don't want to hear any noise. If I hear noise, you're in huge trouble.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a threatening part too. You're like, all right, let's just not do anything. But yeah, no, it's...
And it was fine. And it's fine now. That, that, again, like that's a big riff I keep having on the show is just like we make it way too hard on ourselves as dads. That's not, and this isn't about, so be neglectful, ha ha ha, have some fun. It's just like in these type of scenarios, like true to your heart, you know that your parents would do that and you're fine. And that was probably the better decision. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, you can't leave. You have to stay in the room while your kid sleeps.
Right.
So we made that decision and it worked out fantastic. It was so great. And especially the extra time to spend with people, like other adults at this resort, and like to have a chance to just speak with these friends who want to catch up with. It was awesome. But the funny part came is another friend of ours talking to another family, the friend of ours, right? Okay. Who they themselves have kids. And he suggested, having just talked to me, saying like, oh, I'll just, we'll make sure they're asleep and we'll come back out. He suggested to the other parents, like, oh, well, once they're asleep, you can just come back out, right? And the other parent just looks at them like shocked, like, what? No, you can't just leave your kids in the room.
Who would do that? Who would do that?
And I'm just like, I'm slowly just drifting behind a cactus so I can't be seen. Yeah, who would do that? So I got called out pretty badly. We're just like, oh, who would do that, huh? Interesting.
You're just at the bar pounding for another drink. You're like, what? Yeah. What was that? Nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you nerds talking about? Woo!
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their own comfortable kind of factor. I don't know. I don't see.
I don't blame them for that's totally fine. Like, by the way, too, it's not like there's no shade thrown at that. That's if that's your comfort level, as you said it.
Yeah,
great. But I was just like, the guy just like ringing my collar, like, oh yeah, who would do that, eh?
Not talking to them all night.
So the second incident.
Okay, number 2. All right. Being judged in another country, by the way.
There can't just be one, right?
No.
So my son took on my youngest, which, by the way, his swimming became so much better during this trip. It was amazing.
I will agree with that, too, with my own experience. Yes.
So just something about that particular... Well, what do you fill that in? So your kid became better at swimming during a resort visit?
Yeah, and maybe it's just that less... stressful atmosphere versus swimming lessons where they're kind of shuffled into this community pool with 1,000 things going on. And at this at a resort, family friendly resort, it's just the way everything's kind of set up. Everyone's chill. the pool's still busy and stuff, but they're always in it. They're having fun. They're relaxed. And I think my oldest at the time picked up swimming way better. I'm like, this is what we need to do. Not dump money into swimming lessons. Come back to
The resorts,
another
clear.
country.
Darling,
Yeah.
you got to make sure the kid can swim. It's for their own good. We got to come
Every
back.
year, a tune-up, right?
Yeah, I think it's just the desire too, because all the other friends are there. There's all this cool stuff. So if you
Yep.
can't swim to it, you're limited. So I think there's that better motivation.
Yes, absolutely.
The only way you can make it better is if you have like a switch at the edge of the pool. It's like, if you want it, you got to swim across, bud.
You put it in one of those waterproof bags at the bottom. You're like, all right, well, you got to go dive.
So now, so a bunch of his swimming had really improved, but one thing he was doing for fun is what I can only adequately describe as artistic drowning.
Oh, okay. Like a performative kind of.
Well, he would bob. So like he would go down to the bottom,
Yep.
touch it, come up and grab some air.
Yeah. Okay.
And he did that a whole lot. And
That's a good sign.
He was confident. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That style, Jeff. I mean.
Yes. Yes.
So he had a real good handle on it. I will say every time he gasped for the air, though, is a little more desperate than I would have liked.
Okay. Like a little laboring of
Yeah.
breathing. Yeah. Okay.
Looking a little too hard, but like, I was never out of sight with him. I was never more than an arm or two length away from him.
Right.
Because we'd never want to leave him be. So here he is. He is now doing his I might be drowning routine, just bobbing across the pool, and I've locked eyes with him. I'm chatting with somebody, but like I'm just watching him the whole time.
Yeah.
And these two people, these two adults, it's one of those like slow rolls where they just they kind of notice him. They're like, is that kid okay?
Yeah.
It must be okay. Then they keep talking, and then they look again at him, and it's like, I don't know that kid's okay. Is that kid okay? They're looking around for the parents at this point.
Yeah.
I'm seeing all of this, and they're looking around for the parents. Like, where's the parents? And my kid just keeps on bob drowning, like putting on a real good performance. And I keep watching. At one point, they're like, "Oh, we gotta do. Oh my goodness!" They pick him out of the pool.
No!
They pick my son out of the pool and put him in the shallow end. They're like, are you okay, buddy? Is everything okay?" And at this point, they are furiously looking around at parents. Now,
Okay.
I remind you, I've watched the whole thing.
Right. Did you go in to the
No,
situation?
I didn't do anything. I just let it ride.
Who is that kid? Who owns that kid?
Oh,
I
that
can't
kid's-
believe this.
Who's the parents? Just let this poor kid jump about.
Oh my god.
Now, my kid immediately, like, they ask, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, okay, bye." He turns around and jumps back in immediately. Not even like a
No flinching,
polite
just-
second. Not even a
right.
polite second to give them thanks. It was just like, yeah, fine. It's more like, what are you doing?
Why are you taking me out of the water I want to be in?
This is going great. What are you doing? And jumps back in. And at this point, these two people are just furiously not furious as in they're angry, but just
Right.
like, where are the
yeah.
parents? And I'm still watching, and I'm still not responding because it's like there is in my mind, it's like I appreciate that they would do that because if there was a problem,
Yeah,
good,
absolutely.
that's great. So I'm not mad
Yeah.
that they touched him or grabbed him or anything. Like, that's fine. You're
Yeah.
trying to help out. I get it. But at this point now, that conversation, there is nothing good for me. There's no coming off looking rosy in
Right.
this conversation unless I almost invoke like, "Hey, don't be touching my kid. He's doing great." So I
You turn it back on them? Yeah.
Yeah.
How
so
dare you?
I just let them ride. I let them I let them sit with that now forever. Remember the time when there was a kid in the pool by himself? There's no parents? Man, that was crazy. They get to
No,
have
that's
that
not how
story.
they would retell it. They'd be like, remember when we saved that kid from drowning and no one was there? And
Where
we
were the
called out a
parents?
name and we adopted him?
And he's mine now. They just walk away with them.
Yeah.
But the best part is just watching them in the moment of like, should I intervene? Nah, we're just gonna see where this goes. If you like pina coladas.
I could just see you just 2 drinks in the hands, just wandering over like, okay,
You know-
son, let's just switch you out of that swimming suit and get a different one on just in
Yeah.
case they recognize you and me.
You're doing great, son. So world's worth father. Like two examples of you let your kid sleep in the room by himself, and is no one going to save this drowning child? Like,
Yeah.
where are the parents? And like, not here.
No. Well, you see, this is what the lack of gaming does to people.
Drives them crazy. All right, I'll tell you what. I got a third reason why I'm the worst dad because of this vacation.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
So we went parasailing. Now we wanted to do something different because we'd been there a number of days and things are going amazing, but let's give the kids some little thrill.
Right.
So we bring them both down to the beach. We show them the jet ski you get to ride to the boat. We show people flying around in the sky on these sails.
Pretty cool.
It's like, guys, you want to come? My oldest, totally into it, ready to go, like already shoving the life jacket on before I can finish the sentence. The youngest doesn't want to go.
Okay. Yeah.
And every dad instinct is screaming because it's, are you sure you don't want to go? Are you really, really sure you don't want to go? And absolutely, absolutely not. Like, he's dead set. I don't want to go on this. I do not want to do this. Okay, son, that sounds great. I want to go. Just like, we were not in the air for half, like, we just began to ascend, and immediately my wife told me, like, out on the beach, she's like, oh, I want to go. It's just like, what am I? Come on, like, what am I supposed to do?
It's classic. You have to rephrase the question to almost market what you're doing and just see the response. You'll be like, Dad's gonna fly like Superman. Do you want to come be Superman? Yes, I do. Even if you showed the YouTube videos of parasailing, like, look at all the stuff you could do. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't care what you're doing. And then the reality sets in, and they're like, wait. That's not bad, though. At least you didn't, like, pay for it, and then they did the reverse, where they're like, I'm not going. What are you talking about? Like,
that's in my mind, that was the worst of the two. Is like, you pay for them, you get them out there. The other older one is loving it and is super excited about it, and then they have to, like, they give you the maneuver, like the desperate wave, like, hey, if anything goes wrong,
right,
do this. And he's screaming and wailing, and I have to wave them down and take them off. And at which point I don't know, it's like, well, we tried. Thanks for the money. And then you get brought back to shore.
So, you just see this little child screaming from 90 feet up in the air or whatever.
I hate this. Me just
Is that that drowning kid that's now up in the air?
Oh my God, they let a kid go up in the air by himself. Who is this kid? Is he just in this resort alone?
He's just constantly putting himself in danger. There's no continues here, kid. You need to...
Jump cut to me, like, reaching over to his harness and just, like, slowly undoing it. Don't worry, son. The sea's down there. You'll be fine. You could swim now, right?
Time to, clip the wings.
Oh, so it was just perfect. Every dad will have gone through that. Well, if they haven't yet, you will as a dad. Where it's like, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to do this, or you do want to do this? And just the immediate flip once the thing actually happens.
All the time. For everything. It doesn't matter what it is.
So moving on from being a bad dad to a bad person.
This trip is insane.
It's a lot.
It was fun, right? Like, you did have a great time. These are just like, hey, dads, just looking for this stuff. This
is the dads. This is the dads after the fact going to a bar. And like, you don't sit there chumming around with your other fellow dads saying, like, and then we went to the buffet and it was very nice. It's like, yeah.
Would you believe what they had there? The little cheese balls. It's amazing.
The pool was well kept.
Yeah, the temperature was perfect.
Yeah. It's a pretty lame story. This is the fun stuff that I prefer. So this one was, and you've experienced this a bit. I think you might be beyond it.
I think so.
This is the kid as a secret pass at the airport to kind of skip lines.
Right.
Where, oh, you have kids, here's a special family line. Oh, you have kids, okay, right this way. Oh, you have kids, board first. So it's kind of like the kid as resembled as the Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Right.
Where you're just kind of waving them about, like, hey, look, let me go through. We arrived back at the airport, and I think they forgot to tell the airport that its job was to receive airports and people.
Because it's just sending people out. We don't receive them.
So because they had big glass hallways and full of people, and nothing was happening.
Oh, no.
It was just, we couldn't believe it. We're looking at this thing like, this is a 4-hour ordeal.
Oh,
our kids have now been, we just had the flight home. We all want to get back, and we got this. We have like 4 hours of airport bureaucracy to just sit through.
Yeah.
And so we're just in the thick of it. We're in the meeting of it. My kid has to go to the washroom at some point. So now, like, I'm a salmon swimming upstream, trying to get past it all. And my wife calls me. Where are you? We had to separate because, like, we're going to have to join up a bit later. It's like, okay, someone just came and grabbed me because I have a kid. We can get to the front. It's just like, and the conflict, Jeff, the conflict of being that sucks for everybody
Yeah, well,
could would match stuff where like that's great for me.
yep.
It's just, and also like I will say like that for everybody like having like pissy kids like stomping around and kicking shins,
Hmm.
probably not that great anyways. But like we did it, so I cannot describe how much I was like demonstrating my child as I was walking past people on the side for like 10. This is a long line, so I'm holding his hand up the whole time as if to say like white flag, like look, I got a kid, child,
Kid here, moving through. Kid here, I've got a kid.
child here. Oh, he's like 6 turning 7, so he's pretty big. It's like still, fortunately the other one was like curled up and sleeping, so like we're moving through and we got right to the front. I have not felt daggers in the back of my head so strong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had those type of situations where we've been in like a long lineup at border control or whatever, and they would open up a line just for us because we had kids. I don't think I'm in that age group anymore. I think like again, 11 turning 12 and a 9-year old. I'm like, they're basically adults. They can sit there and be quiet. So I don't think I'm gonna get that kind of treatment anymore. I mean, unless my kid starts acting out and they don't want to hear it anymore and send them through. But
Yeah, that's. I think your glory days are done. You probably just
oh,
you need to
thanks.
have the
It's
switch.
great. I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna travel with you and just hold
Yeah,
up your kid. Be like, look, I got another.
he almost drowned on this vacation. Give him a break.
I saved him.
the Yeah, it was God. The dad guilt matched with like the dad opportunity as far as like just getting these kids out of there for their
Yeah.
own sake. Like, oof, that was a rough one, but we got
We
through.
did it. You
Saved
did
like
it.
saved 4 hours at the end. Now we want to call out to. We got contacted by a really awesome sounding store, and I thought maybe Jeff, you can cue this one up for the uh, what we got reached out to, and which ends up having a really great dad story.
Yeah, we got contacted by Barry from Premium Edition Games. It's kind of like this. They do gaming runs of all retro games, so anything that's kind of family friendly to a little bit more adult, and they put out these retro style games in physical cases that you can go out and buy. So they have all these different new indie style games, and right now they're going into their kind of next phase of all these new games. And it was kind of cool because they reached out and Barry had a good story about himself with his dad gaming from all those years ago and how that kind of translated into his life now and what he's doing for families. So it was kind of a cool tie-in with our show of just gaming dads and where we came from, where we're going, and what the little ones are doing, and how that all kind of fits together. So it's kind of a neat little store that they have going on, online store. And Barry sent us a little clip of his memories that he'll talk about, and then we can kind of go over what we feel and what our experiences are because they're probably pretty similar. So,
All right, let's see what Barry's got to say.
Hey everybody, Barry Carenza here from Nintendo Fuse and Premium Edition Games. And I'm here today just to talk about one of like the best parts of my childhood, which is pretty much growing up with the Atari and with the Commodore and specifically playing those games with my dad. As a kid, wasn't the best at video games like most kids, and really looked up to my father as, a really good player who was able to tackle things I was not able to tackle on my own. And it was just so special to be able to experience so many classic games with him. And it helped us bond, it brought us together. It just was one of the highlights of my childhood. It cemented my love for video games. And I hope that all of you out there, have something similar with a sibling or a parent or even just a friend, someone that you could bond with over video games. Because, to me, just I don't want to pick one particular moment because there's so many. We played the Atari and the Commodore so many times and so many different games. I'd say if I had to pick a favorite game that we played together, it was Agent USA on the Atari. It was just one of those games that just discovering things and learning things and figuring things out together. It just felt like when we won, it was like, yes, because every game was different, and it felt like we just won the World Series. Like, at least in my eyes, it was like, yes, we did it, because it was a hard game to win. And it was really special to me. And at Premium Edition games, we really understand the value of family time and spending time with loved ones, and really having some games that can bring people together. So we're proud to announce that our Series 4 titles will be doing just that. We've got two great titles for Series 4. We've got Wonderling DX, which is a puzzle platformer where pretty much you play the role of a Goomba, and you got to figure out your way through all the levels to find all the collectibles and to kind of defeat the hero. It's an interesting spin on video games, and it's so much fun. And the team behind it is, they really poured their heart and soul into this game. And I hope this sounds like something you might, enjoy. Our second title is a game called Rain on Your Parade. This is a fun title for kids, adults, doesn't matter, where you get to play a cloud and you get to rain on people's parades. You get to, rain on their days, their weddings, their picnics, and you get different objectives every level to try and accomplish. But then it goes farther than that. It goes into parody, it goes into homages, and you have like a Zelda level, and you got a Metal Gear Solid level, and you got all these crazy things going on. And it's awesome because we've also included the DLC all on cart. So when you purchase the game, you get the whole thing, and it's just a ton of fun. Great for the whole family. Both of these titles are going to be up for a 4-week pre-order, and that starts on May 10th and it goes till June 10th. We also have retro edition versions of each of these games, which comes with bonus stuff. So definitely check that out at premiumeditiongames.com and get your orders in. Thank you so much for having me here, and hope you are all having a fantastic, wonderful day.
I'm always fascinated. I think did your dad played games with you? No.
No, my
Or
dad didn't. I
Okay, so
was
we had the
left
same
out.
experience then. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I hear that I'm sad for it. I'm not sad for that's the wrong way to put it. It was just a memory that I didn't have. It would be cool if it had been, but it gives me more desire to play with my son because
Yeah.
you kind of hear how people our age years later still remember those gaming sessions that they had with their dads, and like especially like, and you probably agree, it's like, oh, my dad's like the ace in the pocket as far as like, okay, I can't beat this level,
Right.
bringing the big guns, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or like, let's stay up late and get this midnight release, right? Like those kind of memories that we've talked about is always like pretty cool in my mind, and never had that with my dad. So hearing from Barry and like, hey, he actually like bonded with his parents through this, like that's something that I think we're trying to do. So it's working. I think it's working.
So at some point when our sons will reach
Yes.
out to gaming podcasts and I'm like, I remember my dad Jeff. We used to make that Stardew Valley, and I didn't know that he would stay up late harvesting my cabbages. And years later, he would tell me
right.
it's a founding memory for me, and that's why I'm Prime Minister of the Moon.
That's right. Yeah.
If you extrapolate a couple of years, I assume we have
of course.
Prime Ministers of the Moon at that point.
High standard there.
Yeah. But I do like too, like the taking that passion, and I think you hear a lot with game developers or anyone who's kind of participating in the space. They will harken back to those happy, joyous memories of playing games and
Yeah.
want to participate that in a way, so that when a business like Premium Edition comes out, they're kind of doing it from a place of this. We love games. We love what games can represent. We love the positivity of games, like family time, memories with our parents, and everything else. Like, so let's build a business and try to do something with that.
Yeah. And even just like harvest crazy kid-like ideas. That Rain on Your Parade game, I never would have heard of that, and I looked this one up, and it's just something that I think my kids will get a kick out of. Just the cartoony style of it, and even just throwbacks to Metal Gear Solid levels and stuff like that. That kind of perked my ears. I'm like, maybe this is a game we could both play.
Maybe this would work.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's some of the cool stuff going on there. So yeah, Can't thank them enough. Really appreciate the reach out and the sharing of the memory as well. So you want to check them out at Twitter at Premium Edition 1. And as he said, premiumeditiongames.com. Oh, thanks so much for the memory. And like I said, I think we could only strive to have our kids message up onto a podcast at some point and speak so highly of those gaming memories.
That's right. Yeah. That's the dream. We'll get there.
Yeah. That's it. That's what we're hoping we get Tyrone someday, right? So Tyrone,
Yes.
it's like, I remember being a baby on your chest after you were just born.
Yeah.
The subtle sounds of Zelda playing in the background. It was beautiful. All right, everybody, that will do it for the week. Do you have your own gaming moment? Do you have a newborn coming? I don't know that we'll expect that every week, but it certainly is an amazing surprise. As you heard, I don't think Jeff and I can really ever express the warmth and happiness it is to receive these kind of gaming memories, either with new kids, old kids, just memories of itself, to interact with other fellow gaming dads. One of the absolute best parts of doing this show. So if you have anything to reach out to us with, we'd love to talk about it on the show or just to share it with us. You can find us on our website, newdadgaming.com, or on our Twitter at newdadgaming. If you like the show, you can subscribe to it on all of your podcast networks through iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Caster, anywhere we get podcasts, just search for New Dad Gaming. This year, we are trying to get out to as many gaming dads as possible. It really helps boost the signals if we share out the show, and if you subscribe on any of those podcasting networks, and especially leave a review. Reviews seem to really boost the signal to gaming dads as we try to reach out to as many as possible. We're trying to get as many births on the show as possible.
That's right. Happy to receive.
So, again, would love to hear from you. Reach out for anything else, and that'll do it for this week. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I didn't go to Cancun like Trevor, and I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old.
If you like pina colada.
He's drinking one. You're drinking one right now, aren't you?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. It's coffee because I am hurting.
Oh, no. Okay.
From that transition. But we had to do this show. Hey, everybody, thank you. Remember, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.